What is happening? I am Minnesota Vikings man 28, and this is not a Vikings related episode, but we do have an NHL Stanley Cup playoff winner, and that is the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis beat Boston in a game 7, 4-1. I was not expecting this. I had Boston winning in 7, I believe, in my Stanley Cup final prediction. In my original one, I think I had Tampa Bay winning it all, but of course they got swept in the first round. These playoffs have been very interesting. I've really loved these playoffs. Some very unexpected uh, wins by Columbus, Carolina. I would even say New York Islanders for me at least, and definitely the Colorado has been the biggest one. Um, what else can I even say about these playoffs? It's been amazing. I love that this finals went to 7 games, and St. Louis has won their first Stanley Cup trophy, and I really congratulate them, even though they are in the Wilds um, group. You know what? I feel bad. I, you had to go through a lot of pain for a lot of years. You deserve it. So congrats to St. Louis. How St. Louis got to this point, I'm gonna go through this right now. Um, St. Louis beat Winnipeg in the first round 4 games to 2, and only won against Winnipeg by 1 goal for in all their wins. I mean, amazing. Um, I really thought Winnipeg was going to win that series. I think I had them winning in 7. I didn't think it was going to be a good battle, but I really thought Winnipeg was ultimately going to win and, do better than they did last year. Now, the second round. Oh boy. Oh boy. St. Louis, besides their game 6, they won all their games only by 1 goal. Game 7, I watched that game. That was a very intense game in I think in St. Louis. Um, Watching it at home, I mean I knew St. Louis was gonna win that game because Dallas was playing so much defense. But I'm like, at some point I felt like, oh, maybe Dallas can maybe get this. I thought Dallas was gonna win this series as well. I believe, I'm not sure, but I felt like, yeah, Dallas um, was gonna win this series maybe in 6, 7 games. But St. Louis just keep proving us wrong. So like, okay, okay, they've made it this far, but now they got a real test, the biggest test in San Jose. And I'm like, okay, maybe San Jose, definitely going to beat them. No problem. And it looks like that from the start. They go up 2 games to 1, and then St. Louis just they just destroy them. I mean, I know San Jose had their injuries toward the end of that series, but still, St. Louis never put their sticks um, down, and they kept their head held high, and they believed in themselves all the way to go to the finals. And going into the finals, Boston had a lot of rest, and they already swept the Carolina Hurricanes 4-0. Um, and especially since the Carolina Hurricanes, the series before that, swept the Islanders. So Boston was really going in, as very heavy favorites, and I picked them. And just an insider, my brother is a Boston Bruins fan. He's a fan of all Boston sports. Even though we live in Minnesota, a lot of Boston um, roots from my family. So yeah, I'm the odd one here, so yeah. So this series, oh my, I mean, one Stanley Cup final. I mean, first game, Boston wins 4-2. Clearly, I expected it. Boston was going to be great on their home ice. Game one, but I also thought Boston was going to win game two, and St. Louis won in overtime, very shockingly. And once I knew St. Louis won game two, I thought they had a good chance of winning this series. Now game three, Boston just dominated 7-2. I watched that one fully through. Um, it was just goal fest out there. Loved it. Well, for my brother and the rest of my family. Game four, St. Louis won 4-2 at home. So each team have won at that point won a game in the final at home. Game five in Boston, I thought Boston, we're just gonna okay, we're gonna win our home games, and that's how we're gonna win this Stanley Cup. Not exactly. St. Louis won 2-1, but of course, controversy. Um, the trip was not called. A trip should have been called, and maybe Boston could have won that game. And I think that really changed the series because Blues took a 3-2 lead. And then game six, Boston, knowing that they had to win, put it all on the line, and they won 5-1. Game seven today, well, as the video comes out, it's going to be Thursday. I mean, St. Louis knew that this city has been waiting for this for a long time, and especially, talking NFL briefly, the Rams leaving St. Louis, um, you know, and Cardinals not doing much in the recent years. Um, that this team was striving for a championship, and they put on a show today. Immediately in the first period, going up 2-0, and then in the third period 3-0, 4-0, and then Boston puts one up, but that really at that point doesn't matter. Boston just put that one up just to show that they were trying at that. They were still trying, so I commend them for that. Um, so yeah, congrats to St. Louis, and enjoy this victory. I'm so happy for you guys. And at least now we don't have to see a Boston team winning another championship. I know everyone's getting sick of it. But, at least for now, it has briefly ended until maybe later this year with maybe the Red Sox. But we don't worry about that right now. All we care about is that NHL season is done, and just wait for next season. That's all I really gotta say. I will be making an NBA video, whether it's the Raptors winning on Thursday or Raptors or Warriors winning on Sunday Game 7. So stay tuned for that. This has been Minnesota Vikings Man 28, and as always, Skull.